Hello and welcome to the Fit to Transform podcast, where you learn how to train and diet effectively and, most importantly, how to maintain those results for life, once and for all. I'm Nikias Tomasiello, a transgender training and nutrition coach working online with anyone who's ready for a true lifestyle transformation, anywhere they may be in the world. As a friendly reminder, any and all information provided is for educational purposes only. You should consult with your doctor before implementing any changes to your diet and exercise program. With that disclaimer out of the way, thank you for being here. Now grab yourself a cup of tea or pre-workouts and enjoy. Yo, welcome back to the podcast and thank you for tuning in to this solo episode in which I want to cover the answer to the question, are you ready to diet? In other podcasts on fat loss, I focused on the skills that you need to become proficient with in order to be successful during a fat loss phase. Whereas in this particular episode, I'm going to come at this question from a slightly different angle, in that I want to cover these two important components of a successful fat loss phase. Whether your head is in the right place and whether your life is in the right place. And I have a total of 5 considerations that I want you to take into account when you're trying to make the decision, am I ready for a fat loss diet or not? Consideration number 1 is ask yourself, why is it so important to diet? Are you doing it as a form of self-respect? Are you doing it because you think that the process of losing fat and building muscle over time is cool? For example, that's my motivation because, as you know by now, I'm really passionate about bodybuilding. I think it's fascinating. Or are you doing it because subconsciously or consciously you're punishing your body because it doesn't look societally acceptable and because you're hinging your self-worth upon your appearance? If it is a form of self-punishment because you don't feel like you look a certain way, or because you feel that you're unhealthy if you carry excess body fat, then you probably experience a lot of shame about your body. And I'm sorry about that. And unfortunately, self-punishment and shame, if these are the main motivators for fat loss, are likely going to backfire in one of 2 ways. The first way is that you're never successful. You try diet after diet after diet. You lose some weight, but then you can't complete the diet successfully and you go back to square one. So you try a different diet and the same cycle repeats over and over again. And the reason why you're not successful isn't that you don't want it bad enough, or that you're not disciplined enough, or that you haven't found the right diet. The reason is that, as research shows, shame isn't a powerful enough motivator for you to achieve this goal of fat loss and, most importantly, maintain the results. Based on the research that I'm aware of, shame can deal a double whammy of negative consequences. First of all, it may reduce your intrinsic motivation to pursue a diet in the moment. Not only that, but if you try diet after diet and you fail over and over again, and every time you experience shame, that experience gradually reduces your motivation to try again because you don't want to feel like shit over and over again, which is completely understandable. Now, the second way in which shame and self-punishment can backfire on you is that, let's say that you are consistent for long enough to get results. The problem is that you haven't addressed the real root cause of your negative feelings about yourself. And that root cause has little to do with your appearance and more to do with the fact that you attach so much of your self-worth to your appearance. And potentially you use eating as a way to comfort yourself from these feelings of worthlessness and shame that you harbor. So if you don't address the real root cause, which requires, rather than a focus on fat loss, a focus on your body image, then you're likely to regain that weight back and then some. So I appreciate that somebody might think, oh, why should I waste my time on this body image work when I could use that same amount of time dieting and losing body fat? And my rebuttal is that you could do that, but then again, you risk even achieving your fat loss goal initially, and then because your body image is still shit and you're only dieting to punish yourself, you're back to square one within a year's time. On the other hand, if you spend the time working on your body image and working on self-respect, and you start a fat loss diet, if that's still your goal by the end of this work, then your mindset is going to be really different. Now, instead of punishing your body, you accept it the way that it is right now, with all of its imperfections, including how much muscle and body fat you may be carrying, and you can accept it and still want to change it. And as a result of this self-acceptance, you're going to engage in behaviors that are health promoting, like eating more fruit, vegetables, and protein, and fewer highly palatable, high-calorie foods, but also exercising more. And they're not only health promoting, but also, especially if somebody is overweight or lives with obesity, these behaviors are fat loss friendly. They lead to a body composition that's likely healthier than the body composition you're in now, because you achieve that body composition because of the negative emotions that you think a diet is going to solve. So these health promoting behaviors are going to make you feel good because now you are engaging in them because you want to. You want to take care of your body, as opposed to feeling like you have to because your body needs to change. This is a powerful difference that literally makes the difference between you achieving your long-term fat loss goals and maintaining the results, and you not making it there and trying diet after diet after diet. If your desire to diet comes from a place of shame, self-punishment, lack of self-worth and self-respect, which all stem from a negative body image, dieting isn't going to help fix your body image. Working on your body image will help fix your body image. And once you have a more positive body image, now you accept and respect your body more, you want to engage in health-promoting behaviors that typically lead to a healthy body composition. And as a result, you create a positive cycle that ends with you achieving a body composition that's reflective of your desire to respect your body, accept it, and take care of it. So in my opinion, you really want to dig deep into why you want to go on a fat loss diet. And if you haven't done the appropriate body image work to be well equipped to be successful with the diet, I would prioritize that. And once you have done that work, that's when you can choose whether you still want to diet or not. And I am confident that you will be far more successful. Moving on to consideration number 2. A lot of people live in a larger body, meaning they're overweight or they live with obesity, and they want to diet to improve their health, which is a fantastic goal to have. They're not the type of person who, like me or some of my clients, has already embraced a fitness-oriented lifestyle. If that's you, then a consideration you need to make is, are you ready to become a new person? Because, well, for me, going into a fat loss phase simply means that I have to change the calories I'm eating on a day-to-day basis and nothing else. For you, going into a fat loss phase and eventually maintaining the results that you achieve needs to come with a complete change of lifestyle and identity, which is big. It is a big mental challenge, not only physiological challenge, because now if you embrace this new fitness-oriented lifestyle, you'll no longer be the person who eats everybody's leftovers. You'll no longer be the person who hoovers fast food. You'll no longer be the person who's happy to be a couch potato all day. You start to be the person who eats more fruit, more vegetables and protein, and turns down seconds or large portions of dessert or snack food. You start to be the person who dedicates some time to meal prep and healthy food shopping and says no to too many social events involving food and alcohol. You start to be the person who turns down other commitments because you want to make time for the gym. And now, I'm not saying that the new person is good or bad, or that the person you are right now is good or bad, but it is a shift in identity, which can be difficult to navigate, and it may force you to face the ugly truth that some people in your circle may not be the best people to keep in that circle. Because when somebody makes such a huge identity shift, sometimes they realize that there are people in their life who are not really supportive of them, who are criticizing this lifestyle change, and who may be projecting their own envy of this person's results onto the person. Now, I'm going deep with this episode today, but this is the truth that many of my clients who started in larger bodies had to contend with. And I won't bullshit you and pretend that it's not hard, because it is. I faced the same shift myself. I grew up as an overweight teenager. And when I started eating differently and I started exercising more, you can imagine how judgmental teenagers are, right? I was judgmental myself. I was a judgmental little shit. And some of my peers at the time were making comments, asking uncomfortable questions about what I was doing, why I was doing it. Again, most likely they were projecting to an extent. But considering I was already pretty lacking in self-confidence because of the importance I attributed to my shape and size at the time, those questions and comments got to me, and they were difficult to navigate. Consideration number 3 is, are you willing to take on the costs of a fat loss phase? In practical terms, if you go into a calorie deficit, you're going to have a smaller calorie budget than at maintenance or in a surplus, which means you're going to have to be more disciplined around social events and snack food and other highly palatable food. It means that you are going to spend more time, most likely, making home-cooked meals, because restaurant meals, takeaways, meals made by other people typically contain more calories than would be ideal during a fat loss phase. Doesn't mean you can never have them, but it does mean you're going to have them less often than when you're at maintenance or in a surplus. Or if you're not willing to invest the time into meal prep, you may decide to invest money instead, for example, by buying ready meals or buying meals from a meal prep delivery company, so that you don't have to spend the time making the food yourself and you can still achieve your goals. It means that you're going to need more time to dedicate to cardio or to a step goal to help increase the size of your calorie deficit. And not only does it take time, but it also takes effort, it takes energy. Last but not least, you are going to experience hunger. It's normal. It's completely natural as part of a fat loss phase to experience hunger. It's literally your body's response to not getting enough energy, to being in a caloric deficit. But if you were at maintenance and you felt hungrier than usual, you would be able to satisfy that hunger. Whereas if you're in a calorie deficit and you're hungrier than usual, you have to live with it. I'm not trying to put you off of dieting. In fact, the vast majority of the people who work with me want to lose body fat. But I also am not going to bullshit you and say that going into a calorie deficit is easy peasy, because it isn't. That's why people hire me to help them succeed. Consideration number 4, which builds upon the practical challenges that dieting brings, is this the right season of life for you to diet? Especially at the beginning of a fat loss phase, when you're transitioning from maintenance or a surplus into a deficit, you're going to need an adjustment period, especially if you're less experienced with dieting and managing your nutrition in general, because you need to learn or relearn, if you've done at least one fat loss phase before, the skill of practicing fat loss friendly behaviors. That's why with my clients, I don't plan fat loss phases when they're about to become parents, whether they carry the child, in which case, for obvious reasons, it's not going to be the best time to diet, but also if they're not carrying the child, because that's a huge change in lifestyle. I don't plan fat loss phases to start at the same time as a holiday, whereas if you want to diet before the holiday and take a diet break during the holiday, that's typically something that I would plan with some clients. And I don't plan fat loss phases when you're starting a whole new job or moving house. For the first 2 to 4 weeks, transitioning into a deficit, you want to give yourself the time to engage in these fat loss friendly behaviors and get into a good groove. Now, once you've made the transition and these fat loss friendly behaviors become more ingrained, then you can go to town with all the life events that you want, and within reason. I'm being hyperbolic here, but even if life gets busier, you can still be successful because now you've created that groove. So I wouldn't want you to think that you need the entirety of the fat loss phase to be extremely quiet, because realistically, life is never quiet. We all have a lot of things to do. We all have a lot of stress on our plate, pun intended, the majority of the time. So I am by no means saying, oh, you have to put off fat loss until nothing is happening in your life, because then you can wait until you're dead. But you do want to give yourself the time to make the transition successfully. And finally, consideration number 5 is, do the pros of dieting outweigh the cons in this season of life for you? And the pros of fat loss are the following, at least in my view. First of all, you're gonna carry less body fat, which could be important for health if you're overweight or have obesity, because less body fat is proven to improve your health under those circumstances. On the other hand, if you're already lean or you are within a normal body weight, within the normal body weight category, according to the BMI chart, then getting even leaner isn't going to improve your health. It doesn't mean you can't do it, because I'm already lean and sometimes I diet for fat loss as part of my bodybuilding lifestyle. But the point is, do you have a good enough reason to take on this endeavor? Again, like my passion for bodybuilding. And do you have a solid body image? Or are you dieting when you're already lean because of poor body image? Another benefit of fat loss is that going through a diet is quite challenging, and it can teach you to be disciplined, and it can help you increase what's called your distress tolerance, which is a scientific term for you become more resilient and resourceful in dealing not only with fat loss, but with life in general. It can also teach you to be more structured and to set healthy boundaries, because exercising, shopping for food, prepping food, navigating social events, and the like all take time, effort, and therefore effective boundary setting with other people if you want to be successful and maintain healthy relationships. It can also teach you more about nutrition, training, and your own body, which in my opinion is enriching and exciting. And finally, it can give you more confidence, because once again, it's a challenge, and overcoming challenges makes you feel like the badass that you are. Now, what are the potential cons of fat loss, or the potential risks? Well, if you haven't done the body image work that I suggested earlier, then your body image could worsen. At first, it feels like it gets better because you see initial progress in that you're getting leaner, or at least you see what you perceive as progress, which is increased leanness. But then your body image is likely going to worsen because you never feel lean enough. And the leaner you get, the higher the standard continues to climb. Not to say that body image work is going to solve everything, because realistically, you're going to be doing body image work for the rest of your life. Body image, positive body image, isn't something you attain once and then you have it forever. It's something that you always have to work towards, at least to maintain your existing positive body image, in part because of the society we live in, which is very much geared towards hinging your self-worth upon your appearance, which you're trying to fight by developing a positive body image. Saying that, this means that even with a more positive body image, your body image could still worsen by going into a fat loss phase. But if you have done the work to achieve that positive body image, it's easier to recognize the signs that your body image is worsening, and it's easier to pull yourself out of that vicious cycle before it becomes problematic. Another risk is that if you don't have the right support, in some people, dieting could result in maladaptive behaviors like undereating, binging, overexercising. So do you have the right support? Do you have a coach? Do you have people in your life that could pick up on these signs of maladaptive behaviors? And speaking of a coach specifically, can you afford it? Because of course it's a service, so it's going to cost money. In summary, there are 5 considerations that I invite you to make before you embark on a fat loss journey. And these are: why do you want to do it? Are you ready for a change not only of lifestyle, but of identity as well? Are you willing to do what's required to be successful with fat loss? Is this the right season of life for you to do it? And at this moment in time, do the pros outweigh the cons? And to wrap up the episode, I want to clarify that there's a reason why I've said multiple variations of the term right now. I've said at this time, in this season of life, right now. And that's because maybe the answers to some or all of these questions right now is no, I don't actually want to take on fat loss. It's not the right season of life. I'm not willing to do what's required, and the pros do not outweigh the cons. It doesn't mean that it's going to be like this forever. Even in as little as a month or 2 months or 3 months, depending on your personal circumstances, you may be answering yes to these questions and start your fat loss diet then. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're turning down fat loss right now, it's going to take you years, or you're never going to be able to embark on this journey if that's important to you. It simply means that it's not the right time, and that you need to focus on a different priority, which in turn is going to make fat loss easier and much more likely to be successful in the future if you do ever want to engage in fat loss again. And you may find that maybe you don't. For example, I have some clients with whom I start by doing body image work because that's what they need. And I tell them, like I told you today, you can always still choose to change your body once you have a positive body image and you're coming at it from the right place. And these clients eventually tell me, you know what? Now I'm in such a better place with myself that I don't feel the need to diet anymore. And that's something that you have full agency over. It is your decision what to do with your body. I am never going to push you in any one direction. I'm only here to offer information, offer my perspective as a coach, what I know about the current scientific evidence on what's more effective and what may not be as effective. And I'm here to guide you and help and support, not to judge or to push my goals onto you. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you do want me as your coach, I would be delighted to have a conversation with you. So please apply using the link in the show notes as usual. Let me know what you think of the podcast by leaving a rating or a review, and I will speak to you in the next episode. Lastly, if you want to support the podcast and help me reach more people, please leave a 5-star rating or review on any podcast platform that you're using. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.